All right. Time Gazer and Space Juggler, which will be a part of our upcoming Astral Radiance set, combined with some of the cards from the Japanese set Battle Region, have fully been revealed. We got the translations here on PokeBeach. Pretty sweet. Some really cool cards. I'm definitely excited about in this set. Some incredible artwork as well. I mean, the Pokemon Company has been doing a phenomenal job with their card production, the art on the cards. I've said it before and I'll say it again. The Pokemon trading card game is the most beautiful trading card game on the market, and it's not close. I love Sneasler. I'm a huge Sneasler stan, so I don't want to hear any Sneasler hates in the chat, okay? Sneasler owns. Look at this dude. A fantastic Pokemon. So stoked to see some more of the Hisuian Pokemon get their first cards. Very exciting. First up, we've got Hisuian Lilligant V and Hisuian Lilligant V-Star. Hisuian Lilligant V has 200 hit points and is delivering a super gnarly kick there. Very cool Hisuian Lilligant. It's got a free attack dance, which allows you to draw cards until you have 6 cards in your hand. A nice little consistency attack. And then its Leaf Step does 130 damage for 2 grass and a colorless super vanilla Pokemon V, but a nice built-in support option with the dance attack. And then Hisuian Lilligant V-Star has 260 hit points, a V-Star ability, and an attack. Its attack, Parallel Spin for 2 grass and a colorless, does 130 damage. Plus, you may return an energy card attached to this Pokemon to your hand. If you do, this attack does 100 more damage, so 230 damage, but you do have to bounce an energy back. If you bounce back an energy like Capture Energy, you can reuse the effect of Capture Energy with the Hisuian Lilligant, so that's pretty cool. The ability Star Perfume reads, once during your turn, you may search your deck for up to 5 in any combination of grass Pokemon and grass energy cards, reveal them, and put them into your hand. So I think the real cool thing about Hisuian Lilligant is that it's a very consistent Pokemon. Hisuian Lilligant V has the ability to draw cards. Hisuian Lilligant V-Star can search out other grass Pokemon, which is really strong. And it can search out grass energy, which pairs exceptionally well with the new Gardenia supporter. It's hard to talk about new grass Pokemon without also mentioning Gardenia's Vitality. It's a new supporter card that allows you to draw 2 cards. Then you can attach up to 2 grass energy from your hand to one of your benched Pokemon. This card is immediately drawing comparisons to Welder, which attached to fire energy from your hand to one of your Pokemon allowed you to draw 3 cards. It is better than Welder in some ways and worse than Welder in some ways. It's better than Welder because it's never a dead card. You don't have to have grass energy in your hand in order to play Gardenia's Vitality. At the very worst, it's a draw 2, which is really good considering that Welder was sometimes a dead card in your hand since you needed a fire energy in your hand in order to activate it. Another great thing about Gardenia's Vitality is that it allows you to draw first and then attach after the draw. So unlike Welder, where you needed to have the 2 fire energy in your hand before playing the supporter card in order to maximize its effectiveness, you could theoretically draw into the grass energy that you need off of the draw 2 effect of Gardenia's Vitality. So that's really good. It's worse than Welder in some ways also because you can only accelerate energy to your benched Pokemon, so you have to have some sort of pivoting option with Gardenia's Vitality to allow you to accelerate the energy to your bench and then move into the active spot if you want to attack with that Pokemon during your turn. And it only allows you to draw 2 cards instead of 3. All in all, I think Gardenia's Vitality is an incredible supporter card and great support for grass-type Pokemon. And since it doesn't specify that you have to attach your grass energy to a grass-type Pokemon, Gardenia's Vitality could get splashed into just about any type of deck, not unlike Welder or Melanie, which sees a lot of play in Arceus decks or really any kind of deck that needs extra energy attached. So I think Gardenia's Vitality is going to be a big deal and one of the best new supporters out of Astral Radiance. Luxray V is an exciting new lightning type Pokemon V with 210 hit points and 2 attacks. Its first attack, Fang Snipe, for 2 colorless energy, does 30 damage, and your opponent reveals their hand, and you get to discard a trainer card you find there. Since this attack only costs 2 colorless energy, you can use it for a double turbo energy, which makes Luxray V a very disruptive card. I can kind of imagine Luxray V sliding into control type decks. Any kind of deck that wants to control the opponent's hand could definitely rely on Luxray V's Fang Snipe attack to do that, especially since it's only 1 energy attachment with the double turbo energy, and double turbo energy goes really well in control decks since there's a whole bunch of attacks in the Pokemon trading card game right now that can be used for 2 colorless energy. Radiating Pulse for 2 lightning and a colorless does 120 damage. You have to discard 2 energy from this Pokemon. You could discard the double turbo energy to fulfill that requirement, and your opponent's active Pokemon is now paralyzed. So all in all, Luxray V, a very disruptive card. It removes trainers from the opponent's hand, and it automatically paralyzes if you sack a double turbo energy. A pretty cool card. I don't think it's going to be played in any sort of widespread way, but could certainly fulfill a niche in very specific kinds of control decks. The fastest Pokemon ever discovered in the Pokemon universe with a retreat cost of 3. What are we doing here? How is it so heavy when it is so fast? I just simply do not understand. In fact, as far as lightning type Pokemon go, it has some of the heaviest retreats. I mean, it's comparable to like a Alolan Golem. Regieleki has 130 hit points and 2 attacks. His first attack, Electromagnetic Sonar, allows you to put an item card from your discard pile into your hand. A very good attack for 1 colorless energy. And then its second attack, Target Bolt, for 2 lightning and a colorless, requires that you discard 2 lightning energy from this Pokemon, and the attack does 120 damage to 1 of your opponent's benched Pokemon. So a nice snipe attack. I don't think that this card is going to see too much play in standard format, but in Gym Leader Challenge format, you kind of have to consider it. It does compete with the other Regieleki that already exists for space, which does 120 damage and 40 damage to 2 of your opponent's bench Pokemon. But it's possible that just 120 damage snipe outright could be better. It also only requires that you discard 2 lightning energy instead of discarding all lightning energy, which the other Regieleki requires. And its 1 colorless energy attack, Electromagnetic Sonar, is incredibly good in Gym Leader Challenge format, since Gym Leader Challenge format is a singleton format where you can only play 1 of each card in your deck except basic energy. If you want to learn more about Gym Leader Challenge format, make sure to head on over to gymleaderchallenge.com and join the Tricky Gym Discord, discord.gg/trickygym, where there's always players looking for someone to battle in Gym Leader Challenge format or talk about decks. It's really a great place to talk about Pokemon cards. Highly recommend joining the Tricky Gym Discord. Hisuian Typhlosion, looking pretty slick here in that artwork. Love that. Its ability, Spectral Ball, reads once during your turn. You may discard a psychic energy from your hand. If you do, your opponent's active Pokemon is now burned and confused, so a disruptive attack. And then Shadow Bind for a Psychic and a colorless does 90 damage, and the defending Pokemon can't retreat during your opponent's next turn. Unfortunately, Stage 2 Pokemon are still in a pretty tough spot as far as standard goes, and I'm not sure that Hisuian Typhlosion really does enough to keep up with powerful V-Star and V-Max Pokemon right now. Jirachi is clearly one of the Pokemon Company's favorite Pokemon. I feel like Jirachi just always gets a cool card. As long as I've been playing the Pokemon trading card game, there has pretty much always been a good Jirachi. Jirachi V has the Wish Bridge ability that reads, when your basic Pokemon V is knocked out by damage from an opponent's Pokemon's attack, you may choose one basic energy card from the knocked out Pokemon and move it to one of your other Pokemon. So Jirachi is kind of like a permanent experience share for your basic Pokemon V. Now, it's worth noting that this ability does not work with Pokemon VMAX or Pokemon V-Star, but if you happen to be playing a basic Pokemon V deck like Zacian or Zamazenta or Suicune, Entei, anything like that, Jirachi can help you chain energy to continue attacking. So a really cool ability. I've never seen something like this in the Pokemon TCG, so I think it's pretty sweet. Hisuian Growlithe and Hisuian Arcanine, their first cards in the Pokemon TCG. Not really too much to say here as far as standard goes, but for Gym Leader Challenge, we've got 2 new fighting type Pokemon, and I'm really excited about these guys. First of all, love the character design of Hisuian Growlithe and Hisuian Arcanine. They look epic. Hisuian Growlithe has 80 hit points and the defensive stance attack, which is free. Allows you to flip a coin if heads prevent all damage from attacks done to this Pokemon during your opponent's next turn, so it can be invincible for free if you flip a heads, and then bite does 30 damage. Evolves into Hisuian Arcanine, which has 150 hit points. The Rock Smash attack does 50 damage, and then Scorching Horn for 2 fighting and a colorless does 80 damage, and if this Pokemon has any fire type energy attached to it, it does 80 more damage, and your opponent's active Pokemon is now burned. So 80 plus 80, 160 plus the burn, 180 damage, and Hisuian Arcanine pairs really well with Colossal, whose Tar Generator ability accelerates a fire energy and a fighting energy from your discard pile to one of your Pokemon. So I think that this is going to be a great combination in Gym Leader Challenge. Fighting type decks are already running Colossal for its Tar Generator ability, and Hisuian Arcanine is just a great high HP attacker that does a significant amount of damage. So really stoked about this card in Gym Leader Challenge. It's got some epic artwork. Look at those volcanoes in the background. Such a cool card. Really looking forward to seeing what this thing can do in GLC. I think that Machamp VMAX is incredibly good. It's got the Revenge Buster attack. For fighting in a colorless, does 80 damage, plus if any of your bench Pokemon have any damage counters on them, it does 140 more damage. So that's 220 base damage for just 2 energy. And since there is a colorless energy requirement in the attack cost, it can easily be powered up with Melanie, or it could be splashed into any type of deck, right? You don't have to play specifically fighting type energy. And I think that this is one of the strongest fighting type attacks in standard format right now. There's really not a lot of great options to choose from as far as low energy, high damage output fighting type attacks. And I think that this Machamp VMAX certainly fulfills that role. Its second attack, Max Charge, does 240 damage. This Pokemon can't use Max Charge during your next turn. There's also a new Stadium card coming out that makes it so that whenever either player puts a Pokemon from their hand onto their bench, you place 2 damage counters on that Pokemon. That could combo really well with the Machamp VMAX to produce the bonus damage from Revenge Buster. So I think that getting that damage on your bench Pokemon is going to be no problem. There are also other fighting type Pokemon that damage your bench, like Donphan from Vivid Voltage, but I think that the Stadium card is going to probably be the most popular way to boost your Revenge Buster attack. And then Machamp V has just got like a baby version of Machamp V Max's Revenge Buster. For fighting in a colorless, it does 50 plus 50 more if any of your benched Pokemon have any damage counters on them. And then 2 fighting in a colorless to do 140 damage. Yeah, Machamp is basically here to evolve into Machamp V Max. Definitely dig the artwork on that Machamp V though. Real slick. New Rampardos just dropped. It's got the Jurassic Hammer attack for 2 fighting energy, 240 damage. If your opponent has 3 or fewer cards in their hand, this attack does nothing. So obviously some insane damage output, but with a drawback like that, your opponent can play around it. Definitely not going to be reliable enough in standard format, I suppose. Okay, all right, hold on. You could Judge or Marnie your opponent, okay, to force them to have 4 cards in their hand, and then you're doing 240 damage guaranteed for just 2 energy. So kind of interesting. Still not really looking at this card in a standard format context, probably more of a Gym Leader Challenge context, and even then there are other good Rampardos to compete, but it is a nice low energy cost attacker. Could see play in Gym Leader Challenge. Hisuian Samurott, baby. It's got 170 hit points and the Tricky Stance ability. All right, I'm listening. Once during your turn, you may discard a card from your hand. If you do, draw 3 cards. Cool, so it's got that power draw ability. Kind of the same thing that we saw on the Swampert from Celestial Storm, I want to say. And then Dark Prison for a dark and 2 colorless energy does 60 damage plus 20 more damage times the amount of energy attached to all of your Pokemon, with Turbo Dark coming back to standard format with Darkrai V-Star, Dark Patch, and a whole bunch of dark support. This card obviously jives with the whole Turbo Dark idea. I do worry that setting up a Stage 2 Pokemon is still more trouble than it's worth in standard format. What's funny is that the Swampert with the Power Draw ability actually saw play in a regional championship winning Gardevoir GX deck piloted by Jimmy Pendarvis. Love Jimmy, RIP to Jimmy. And that deck played multiple Stage 2 Pokemon, but my goodness, how things have changed in the years since that regional championship. The idea of setting up 2 different Stage 2 Pokemon to formulate a cohesive strategy seems like a long lost art in the current state of the Pokemon TCG. Pokemon like Hisuian Samurott kind of just get overshadowed by Shady Dealings Inteleon. That being said, Shady Dealings Inteleon is rotating, so you never know. Thievul. Love the artwork on this Thievul. He's just a sneaky fella. It's a full moon, stealing some berries. Love it. It's got the ability Befuddle. If your opponent has 2 or fewer prize cards remaining, supporter cards played from your opponent's hand have no effect on your benched Pokemon V. Now, this is interesting because it blocks Boss's orders from affecting your bench Pokemon V, but it is an extremely situational ability. You're telling me I have to set up a Stage 1 Pokemon, then I also have to have 2 prizes remaining, and then I also have to have a single prize attacker or a, high HP attacker in the active spot, and I also have to have a weak Pokemon V on the bench worth protecting. It's just like, it's way too situational to ever warrant setting up the way that the Pokemon trading card game gets played in year 2022. Abilities like this never see any action, so I really don't expect this Thievul to see any play. Love the artwork on this Magnezone. The Pokemon Company loves giving Magnezone cool abilities, and this one is no different. The Giga Magnet ability reads once during your turn. You may look at the top 6 cards of your deck and choose any number of metal energy you find there and attach those energy to your Pokemon in any way you like. This immediately reminds me of Blastoise, right? So there's a Blastoise that had a similar ability, the Powerful Squall, right? Same thing, but water energy. That Blastoise wasn't terribly good, and I don't expect this Magnezone to be terribly good. It's interesting. You could pair it with, like, the Primate Wisdom Oranguru to guarantee yourself an energy attachment. It's certainly worth kind of keeping in mind, since it can accelerate metal energy to any of your Pokemon in play in any way you like. But I think it'll probably see maybe niche use at best. Registeel. Hi, Registeel. Show me what you've got. The Reggie Gate attack for 1 colorless energy. Search your deck for a basic Pokemon and put it onto your bench. A nice little setup attack. Love that. In Gym Leader Challenge format, setup attacks like this are some of the best attacks that your basic Pokemon can have, so really love that. And then Heavy Slam for 2 metal and a colorless does 220 damage, minus 50 damage for each colorless in your opponent's active Pokemon's retreat cost. Dang, what a letdown. That's sad. So it does a ton of damage to Pokemon with free retreats, but if your opponent has any amount of retreat cost, really, you're going to be doing significantly less damage. If your opponent has a retreat cost of 2, which is pretty average, you're doing 120, which is still not bad. I could see this Registeel seeing play in Gym Leader Challenge format. And again, just kind of waiting for the right moment to strike. And with a powerful setup attack in Regigate, I think that's certainly reasonable to think that this Registeel could see some play. Origin Dialga V and Origin Dialga V-Star. Dialga, the, time Pokemon, I think, right? Usually does something funky with turns in the Pokemon TCG, so we'll see what this guy does. Origin Dialga V has 220 hit points and 2 attacks. Its first attack, Metal Coat for 1 colorless energy. Allows you to attach up to 2 metal energy cards from your discard pile to this Pokemon, so a nice energy acceleration attack there. And then Halt Time. Doesn't really halt time, does it? For 3 metal and a colorless, does 180 damage. Moving on to Origin Dialga V-Star. It's got a solid 280 hit points and 2 attacks. Its first attack, Metal Blast for 1 colorless energy, does 40 plus 40 more damage for each metal energy attached to this Pokemon. So you're going to be rewarded for getting a ton of metal energy on your Dialga V-Star. I think the primary goal is going to be to 2-hit KO most threats, since with 4 metal energy on this thing, you're doing 200 damage. It's not like the most amount of damage for an attack, but it does have an unlimited ceiling, really. So if you were to get maybe 6 metal energy on your Dialga, then you'll be doing 280 damage, which does 1-hit KO other Pokemon V-Star. But the real reason why Dialga V-Star is exciting is because of its V-Star power, the Chronos Star attack. For the low cost of 4 metal energy and 1 colorless energy, that's right, 5 energy, it does 220 damage, and you get to take another turn after this one. You skip Pokemon Checkup, and you can't use more than 1 V-Star power in a game, so you get to take back-to-back turns, which means that if you do ever get this power charged up, right? If you ever get this attack charged up, you're going to be doing 220 damage, which you could use to knock out a Pokemon V. Then you get to take another turn. You could potentially knock out another Pokemon V. If you're able to get the Origin Dialga V-Star up and running, you could theoretically take like 4 5 prizes without your opponent taking a turn. So certainly a strategy worth thinking about. Obviously, the Magnezone can help charge energy into play if you want to pair it with that. We've also got Metal Saucer for a while, so pretty interesting card. You know, I got to take a moment to appreciate this beautiful Kamiya Pawniard. Look at him. What is he doing? He's just having a nice time, just skipping around, doing some ballerina dance. I love it. Just like kind of skipping down a hill. So carefree. So joyous. I wish this Pawniard was me. Pawniard evolves into Bisharp. Bisharp has 2 attacks. His first attack, Revenge Slash for 1 metal energy. Does 30 damage plus 30 more damage for each damage counter on your benched Pawniard. Again, I mentioned that new stadium card that places 20 damage on one of your Pokemon when you play it from your hand to the bench. If you have 3 Pawniard on your bench, each with 2 damage counters on them, 210. That's if you have 3 Pawniard on your bench, each with 2 damage counters on them, presumably from the stadium. You could rack up some insane numbers here. I mean, it's possible if you find other ways to place damage on your Pawniards. Each of them can hold up to 5 damage counters, right? I mean, so it's worth thinking about. If you have 2 different Pawniard on your bench, each with 5 damage counters on it, then we're talking 330 damage. So it's possible to hit insane one-hit KOs with the Bisharp, but the real question is going to be in a format with quick shooting, Inteleon, and Galarian Zigzagoon. Are strategies like this going to be super viable? Probably not. Eevee with the Sympathetic Evolution ability reads once during your turn. When you play a card from your hand to evolve one of your other Eevee, you may search your deck for a card that evolves from this Pokemon and play it on this Pokemon to evolve it. How cool! This is a callback to a very old promo Eevee. I spelled Eevee wrong, but it's cool. It still worked out. A very old promo Eevee. I mean, I'm talking like back in the Dizzy. Where are you at? Are you not here? Oh, next. Like older than this. Wizards of the Coast. Here we are. This is a callback to the Chain Reaction Eevee. Had 30 hit points, and its Pokemon power said it can only be used when a Pokemon evolves. Search your deck for a card that evolves from Eevee and attach it to Eevee. So this card, you know, you have to evolve one of your other Eevee, and then it kind of chain reactions, but pretty cool, right? I mean, pretty neat ability, can help you set up your Evolution deck. I'm not exactly sure that there are any good Evolutions right now, but if there were, then this Eevee would certainly be the one that you play. Look at that. Reggie Drago moving mountains. Doesn't care. What a big dude with his bushy shoulders. It's got the ability Ancient Wisdom, which reads once during your turn if you have Reggie Rock, Reggie Steel, Regice, Regieleki, and Reggie Drago in play. You may search your discard pile for up to 3 energy cards and attach them to one of your Pokemon. So that's crazy. Regibox. It's a thing. Well, apparently. Maybe it's going to become a thing. That's pretty wild. I mean, that's an insane ability, but you do have to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You have to have the perfect 6 Pokemon in play. There are 5 other Reggie Pokemon. So your entire board has to be different Reggie Pokemon. But if you have all those different Reggie Pokemon in play, you're going to be juicing your various Reggies every turn. So that's pretty exciting. It's also got the attack Giganto Break for 5 colorless energy. It does 150 damage. Plus, if your opponent's active Pokemon is a Pokemon VMAX, it does 150 more damage. Dude, the VMAX Slayer. That's pretty crazy. Even if you use a double turbo energy to power this up, if you also have a choice belt, then you can one-hit KO Mew VMAX. Now, what's really cool about the idea of a Regibox deck is that they are also releasing the new super effective Goggles tool card, which we'll get to here in a little bit, but it makes all of the defending Pokemon's weaknesses multiplied by 3 when you're attacking it. So, that's pretty cool, right? Could go well in a Reggie Toolbox deck. Greedent is a new attacker for Gym Leader Challenge. Yeah, this card will never see play in standard format, but in Gym Leader Challenge, where you can only play one type of Pokemon in your deck, and you can only play one of each card except Basic Energy in your deck, and Pokemon V or VMAX or any Rule Box Pokemon are not allowed. In that kind of format, this card can really shine. Its attack, Dump. Yo, Greedent takes a dump for 2 colorless energy, does 60 damage, plus you discard your hand. If you have 5 or more cards in your hand that you discarded, you do 150 more damage. So 210 for just 1 twin energy, double turbo energy. For just 2 colorless energy is incredibly good. You can pair this card with Bibarel to help draw more cards, or Pidgeotto, or Cinccino. The colorless Gym Leader Challenge deck is really good at drawing cards. So I think that this certainly could be a winning combination in Gym Leader Challenge. Maybe in standard format. I mean, you could pair it with Bibarel. I think there's a Reggie Drago that draws cards too. So certainly options to fill your hand. You have to have 5 cards in your hand to proc that bonus damage. So could be difficult to accomplish sometimes. But again, in Gym Leader Challenge formats, you really only have to pull off this attack once or twice throughout a game to really get that, the benefit of running Greedent in your deck. It also hits that 200 plus damage mark to one-hit KO big Gym Leader Challenge threats like Steelix, like Torterra, and like Wailord. So really solid attacker all around. Looking forward to seeing what it can do in Gym Leader Challenge. Weirdeer V. This card has really been growing on me. It reminds me a lot of Heatran Gx, and I loved Heatran Gx. We are huge Heatran Gx stans here on this channel. With its Burning Road ability, allowed you to move all of your fire energy that you wanted from your Pokemon to the Heatran when it moved from the bench to the active spot. Hot Burn GX did 50 damage times the amount of fire energy attached to this Pokemon. This is like the same thing, right? 220 hit points. Its Opening Road ability allows you to move any number of energy cards from your other Pokemon to Weirdeer V when it moves from the bench to the active spot. So just explicitly better than Heatran GX's Burning Road, since it can move double turbo energy, any kind of energy you want. And then its Psy Shield Bash attack does 40 damage times the amount of energy attached to this Pokemon. So its multiplier is just slightly worse than Heatran's, but Heatran's was a GX attack, so you could only use it once in the game. Let me do some quick math for you. If you're playing an Arceus V-Star deck and you have 6 energy in play, and then you switch into Weirdeer V, 6 times 4, you're going to be doing 240 damage. You have 7 energies, 288 energy, and we're, talking 320 with new energy accelerating supporters on the horizon, like Gardenia's Vitality. It is not unreasonable to think that you could accelerate a ton of energy into play to eventually take a game-winning knockout with Weirdeer V. You also have the Jirachi. True, Jirachi V does preserve energy from your basic Pokemon V, but I'm kind of imagining this in a situation where you maybe have just one in your deck and you can use it at a specific point in the game to take a big one-hit knockout. I really like this card, and I think this card has a lot of potential as a late game sweeper when combined with energy acceleration, like supporter-based energy acceleration with Melanie or Gardenia's Vitality. Did I say Marnie? Melanie? Yeah, no, I said Melanie, right? Anyways, or Arceus V-Star's Trinity Nova attack. Switch Cart is a new item card that allows you to switch your active basic Pokemon with one of your bench Pokemon. If you do, heal 30 damage from the Pokemon you moved to your bench. Olympia is in shambles right now. Wow. I'll have you know, I played Olympia. I played this card to a second place finish at a regional championship. It's a supporter card that allows you to switch and heal 30. This is like an item card that basically does the same thing. It does only allow you to switch basic Pokemon, but in a deck that only runs basic Pokemon, this card is explicitly better than Switch. So pretty cool. And then Trekking Shoes is another awesome new item card, which is drawing a lot of comparisons to Acrobike. And Acrobike was an item card that saw play in a lot of turbo decks that try to churn through their cards and resources very quickly. It's an item card that allows you to look at the top 2 cards of your deck and put one of them into your hand. Then you have to discard the other card. This saw play in Archie's decks. This saw play in Night March decks. Saw a lot of play to help draw cards. Trekking Shoes allows you to look at the top card of your deck, and you may put that card into your hand or discard it. If you discard it, you draw the next card. So it's interesting because it still allows you to churn through your deck. It can allow you to help accelerate cards to the discard pile if you're trying to get darkness energy into the discard pile or something like that, to use Dark Patch to accelerate darkness energy into play. Trekking Shoes could be good for that. I think the Trekking Shoes certainly will find a home in some decks, especially ones that want to draw cards quickly or accelerate certain cards to the discard pile. New ball card just dropped. Featherball is an item card that allows you to search your deck for a Pokemon with 0 retreat cost, reveal it, and put it into your hand. As far as ball search cards go, I think this is one of the worst ones. I don't even think that Mew VMAX will play this card. Ultra Ball is better. Quick Ball is better. Fog Crystal is better. This is a very narrow use for a search card. Even in a deck like Jolteon VMAX, cards like Level Ball, Ultra Ball, Quick Ball are probably just better because they can search out multiple things. I think that Featherball may see narrow play in some situations, but I kind of doubt it. Adaman is a supporter card. You have to discard 2 Metal Energy cards from your hand. If you do, search your deck for up to 2 cards and put them into your hand. There's nothing new under the sun, chat. There's nothing new. It's just Metal-type Crasher Wake, and Crasher Wake wasn't any good, so I don't expect Adaman to be very good either. We already talked about Gardenia's Vitality. That card is Poggers. Zissou is a new draw supporter that allows you to draw until you have 1 more card in your hand than your opponent has in theirs. This is an interesting card. I actually don't hate this. It's like Copycat +1. Copycat doesn't see any play right now. But Zissou is Copycat +1. And instead of shuffle drawing, you fill your hand. I don't know about you guys, but a lot of decks have been cutting their Marnies. A lot of decks have just been stacking huge hands lately. I would not be surprised to see Zissou played in some decks as a low count. I mean, it certainly has potential. If your opponent has an 8-card hand, you're filling your hand to 9, right? I mean, it's just, it certainly has a high upside. It has a low end. If your opponent only has 4 cards in hand or something, you're filling your hand to 5, but its potential upside is very good. So I think Zissou certainly a card worth keeping in mind when building your decks. I've alluded to the Stadium a few times. Couldn't remember the name of it. Gape Jaw Bog. It looks like, what's the swamp that like Gollum leads Frodo and Sam through with all of like the dead people in it? Kind of reminded me of that. Anyways, it's a stadium card. Whenever either player plays a basic Pokemon from their hand onto their bench, they place 2 damage counters on that Pokemon. I think this card combos well with Machamp. Could just be a good card all in all. I mean, any stadium card that places damage on Pokemon is a card that could be worth playing. It can fix some math in certain situations, not unlike Old Cemetery, which kind of saw some play in Mew VMAX decks. In some ways, it's better than Old Cemetery. In some ways, it's worse, but certainly a card worth considering. The Marshes of Mordor. Beedrill V has got the Twin Needle attack for 1 grass energy. Flip 2 coins. Attack does 40 damage for each heads. It's not very good. Swarming Sting for 2 grass and a colorless does 50 damage times the number of Beedrill V you have in play to one of your opponent's Pokemon. It's a neat attack, but you've got to have 4 Beedrill V in play in order to really do some serious damage. I mean, you're doing 200 snipe, but ultimately Beedrill V is getting 1-hit KO'd by Arceus V-Star very easily. So I'm not exactly sure that it's powerful enough to warrant play. Yo, this Cricketune is going to put tanky grass-type Gym Leader Challenge decks on the map. Its Overflowing Melody ability reads the HP of each grass Pokemon, excluding any Cricketune, is increased by 40. You can combine that with Levani in your grass-type deck. Levani makes it so that your grass-type Pokemon take 40 less damage from attacks. Now, that might seem like a lot to set up, but in Gym Leader Challenge, there are tons of Stage 2 Pokemon and tons of combos like this that see play and are successful. So I'm really excited about the potential of tanky grass in Gym Leader Challenge format. Cricketune to give 40 more hit points, Levani to make your Pokemon take 40 less damage, and then you've even got Aether Paradise, right? Which makes your basic grass Pokemon take 30 less damage from opponents' attacks. So there are a lot of different options. Pot Helmet as well, right? A lot of different options for making your grass Pokemon really difficult to knock out. In standard format, I mean, it is only a stage 1. You certainly could set up a Cricketune pretty easily to make your grass type Pokemon VMAX, like maybe Leafeon VMAX or Shaman V-Star, a little bit more tanky. And all in all, I think this is just a pretty cool card. All right, Orbeetle. Grass type Orbeetle. It's got the ability Jamming Attach. When you read this ability, you might be thinking to yourself, wow, that's the worst ability I have ever read. Ever. And I wouldn't blame you for thinking that. It reads, once during your turn, when you play this card from your hand to evolve a Pokemon, you may attach up to 3 energy cards from your opponent's discard pile to their Pokemon in any way you like. Why would you do that? Seems terrible. But aha, it's because Mystery Wave for 2 colorless energy does 30 damage plus 50 more damage for each energy attached to your opponent's active Pokemon, right? So if you're up against an Arceus V-Star and they have 3 energy attached to them, you're doing 180 damage for 2 colorless energy. But if you use the Jamming Attach ability to put 3 more energy from the discard pile onto that Arceus, you're doing 330 damage for just 2 colorless energy, which is a lot. It's enough to 1-hit KO an Arceus V-Star. It's a little bit situational. Your opponent has to have energy in the discard pile. So if they're playing Training Court or if they're playing cards like Clara to keep energy out of their discard pile, this Wombo combo will not work. But it's pretty neat. This is an epic Heatran, dude. That is some serious meat dog artwork. That's what I'm talking about. Right there. That's sick. Love it. What a menacing looking Heatran. This is what I think. When I think of Heatran in my mind's eye, this is exactly what I think of. Props to Arita. Only Arita could take Heatran and make Heatran look this epic. I love it. It's got 2 attacks. Hot Burn for fire and a colorless, 30 damage. Your opponent's active Pokemon is now burned. And then Lava Fall for 2 fire and a colorless does 90 damage. And if you have a Stadium card in play, it does 90 more damage. So a reasonable vanilla attacker. It evolves into the gorgeous Heatran VMAX, rocking 330 hit points. Its Lava Enhancement ability reads once during your turn. If you have a Stadium card in play, you may heal 50 damage from this Pokemon. So it's a tanky fire deck. Combos with Heat Fire Energy, which makes your Heatran even bigger. Gives your Heatran plus 20 hit points for each Heat Fire Energy attached to it. And you get to heal every turn. So that's cool. And then Max Heat does 180 damage, and your opponent's active Pokemon is now burned. So effectively 200 damage with a Choice Belt. You're doing effectively 230 damage. It's got the retreat cost of 4. What a heavy dude. Cool. All right, Heatran. It's a guy, all right. All right, now that we know about the Reggie box deck, we absolutely have to read all of the Reggie Pokemon. Reggie Gate, search your deck for a basic Pokemon and put it onto your bench. I suspect that they probably all have the Reggie Gate ability. And then Blizzard Bind for 2 water and a colorless does 100 damage. If the defending Pokemon is a Pokemon V, it can't attack during your opponent's next turn. Not super great, but again, there is the super effective Goggles tool card, which makes all of your opponent's weaknesses times 3, so could be interesting. All right, we already read Dialga. Let's see what Palkia is bringing to the table. Origin Palkia V and Origin Palkia V-Star. Origin Palkia V has got the Domain Ruler attack for 1 water energy. You search your deck for a Stadium card, reveal it, and put it into your hand. That is not very exciting. And then Hydro Break for 2 water and a colorless does 200 damage. This Pokemon can't attack during your next turn. More Brave Blade copycat attacks. My goodness. How many Brave Blades do we need in the Pokemon TCG? I'm sorry. How many? Let me say it again for the people in the back, the game designers. How many Brave Blades do we need in the Pokemon trading card game? We've got another Brave Blade. Okay, cool. Origin Palkia V-Star, 280 hit points. It's got the Spatial Swell attack for 2 water energy. Does 60 damage plus 20 more damage for each bench Pokemon, both yours and your opponent's. It's like Suicune V, but more. It's like Blizzard Rondo plus 40 damage, right? 60 plus 20 more for each bench Pokemon. So if you and your opponent have a full bench, you're doing base 260 damage with a Choice Belt. That is 290 damage. But unlike Suicune, you cannot boost your damage output with Ludicolo. So in that way, it does seem like Suicune is a better card than Palkia as far as damage output is concerned. But you could certainly play Palkia in your Suicune deck or in your Ice Rider Calyrex deck because of this ability, Star Portal. Once during your turn, you may use this ability, attach up to 3 water energy from your discard pile to your water Pokemon in any way you like. That is a very strong ability. Just straight up. Getting water energy from the discard pile, attach them to your water Pokemon. That is incredibly good. Could obviously be paired with Ice Rider to fire off max lance attacks back to back. Could be paired with Suicune. Could be paired with just other Palkia. Just very, very good. Togepi, Togetic, and Togekiss. I think the card design on these Pokemon is really cool. Togepi is a basic Pokemon with the Happy Touch ability. When you play this Pokemon from your hand onto your bench during your turn, you may heal 10 damage from your active Pokemon. When you evolve it into Togetic, you can use the Happy Voice ability, which reads, when you play this Pokemon from your hand to evolve one of your Pokemon during your turn, you may heal 30 damage from your active Pokemon. So we can see where this thing is going, right? And then Togekiss with the Happy Shine ability allows you to heal 90 damage from your active Pokemon when you evolve your Togekiss into play. So if you evolve 2 Togekiss in the same turn, you're healing 180 damage, which could be significant. I think that the Togekiss line will certainly find a home somewhere in some kind of tanky deck. You can combo it with Scoop Up Net to reuse the abilities throughout the game and just generally deny prize cards. I think it's a really cool engine, and I'm looking forward to seeing if it can do anything alongside some tanky Pokemon in the TCG. Like Heatran. Reggie Rock. It's got the Reggie Gate attack. They all have the Reggie Gate attack. And then Giga Impact for 2 fighting and a colorless does 140 damage. And this Pokemon can't attack during your next turn. With the Choice Belts, you're going to be one-hit KOing any fighting weak Pokemon. So it's pretty good. Lucky Find, search your deck for up to 2 item cards, reveal them, and put them into your hand. That's not bad. As far as setup goes in Gym Leader Challenge formats, it's a pretty decent little card. Actually, as far as setup goes in literally any kind of deck, that's a pretty nifty attack until they get Marnie to the bottom of your deck. Hisuian Decidueye, 160 hit points, got the free Cutting Talon attack, which does 30 damage, times the number of damage counters on your opponent's active Pokemon. So if they have, let's say, 6 damage counters on them, you're going to be doing 180 damage for free. It's not bad. It's not great either. Direct Arrow for a fighting and 2 colorless does 80 damage to one of your opponent's Pokemon. Yeah, this card's just not very good. Cleavor V and Cleavor V-Star. Cleavor V has got 210 hit points, and he's swinging his axe really hard. It's got the Cut attack, which does 40 damage for 1 fighting energy, and then Battle Axe Slash for 2 fighting and a colorless does 150 damage, and you discard 1 energy card from this Pokemon, then discard an energy card from your opponent's active Pokemon. That's a fine amount of damage for a basic Pokemon V to do. And then Cleavor V-Star, 270 hit points. It's got the Break Axe attack for fighting and a colorless, does 120 damage and 60 damage to one of your opponent's bench Pokemon V. Very much reminding me of Inteleon VMAX, right? Inteleon VMAX has a very similar attack. Its Max Bullet does 160 damage and 60 damage to one of your opponent's benched Pokemon. Obviously, Inteleon VMAX gives up more prize cards, also costs more energy to use. Cleavor V-Star is arguably a better type, being fighting, and can hit Arceus for weakness. Unfortunately, though, you can't knock out the Dunsparce with its Snipe because you can only do 60 damage to one of your opponent's bench Pokemon V, so you can help soften them up in that way. 2 energy cost is definitely usable, though, so something worth thinking about. Rampaging Star is a V-Star power attack for 1 fighting energy. It does 30 damage times the amount of Pokemon in your discard pile. So if you happen to be playing some sort of Mad Party or Madam deck or something like that, and you're discarding a ton of Pokemon, you could potentially set up a Cleavor V-Star to use Rampaging Star at the end of the game, but you would have to accommodate basic fighting energy in order to use it. All in all, Cleavor seems pretty mid. I think that Machamp VMAX is really the fighting Pokemon worth noting out of these sets. I love Sneasler. I'm so stoked that Sneasler is getting some love in these sets. Hisuian Sneasler's got the ability Carrying Climb. As long as this Pokemon is on your bench, your active Pokemon's retreat cost is 2 colorless less. This is basically Dodrio, right? Dodrio with its Retreat Aid ability, did the same thing. Dodrio has been doing this kind of thing for a long time, right? It's Retreat Aid here, Heart Gold, Soul Silver era. We've got Retreat Aid from the Fire Red, Leaf Green era. We've got Retreat Aid all the way back in what, Jungle? Yeah, all the way back in Jungle. But now it seems like Hisuian Sneasler picking up where Dodrio left off. And in certain decks, this could be a big deal. Only being a stage 1 makes it relatively easy to get into play. Hisuian Sneasler V has 190 hit points. It's a basic Pokemon with 2 attacks. Its first attack is a free attack, Poison Claws. Your opponent's active Pokemon, now poisoned. It's also got free retreat. Let's go. Excellent. So a swift little fella. And then the Dire Claw attack does 80 damage for each special condition affecting your opponent's active Pokemon. That's pretty cool. Okay. So if we think about all the different ways to get special conditions on your opponent's active Pokemon, it's this one. Okay, this is the best way to get special conditions on your opponent's Pokemon. Tri-colored scales. When you play this Pokemon from your hand to evolve one of your Pokemon, you may leave your opponent's active Pokemon burned, confused, and poisoned. That's 3 special conditions. 3 special conditions, and that means that you're going to be doing 240 base damage with Sneasler plus Choice Belts. You're going to be doing 270 plus the burn and the poison. You're going to be doing 300 damage. Salazzle does do more, but Sneasler is a basic Pokemon. And also, if you're playing darkness type stuff, you could theoretically hit Mew VMAX for weakness, though, you know, with the Fusion Strike energy, tricolored scales doesn't work, but it's fine. We do have Dark Patch, which can also help you accelerate energy onto your Sneasler. I got hope for Sneasler, okay? I love Sneasler. Sneasler's a cool Pokemon. Maybe we can make it work. All right, Reggie Drago, what you got for us? It's a basic Pokemon with 130 hit points. I lied. Not every one of the Reggies has that one colorless energy attack that searches another basic Pokemon. Reggie Drago is built different. All right, it's got the Dragon's Treasure ability, which reads once during your turn. If this Pokemon is your active Pokemon, you may draw cards until you have 4 cards in your hand. You can't use more than 1 Dragon's Treasure ability each turn. Curious, because that qualifier is not on Genesect V. You can use Reggie Drago to draw cards, which is good. And then its Giant Fang attack for a Grass, a Fire, and a colorless does 160 damage. Obviously, you could play this in the Reggie Toolbox deck. You could use it to draw cards. There aren't really any easy ways to pivot this Reggie Drago in and out of the active spot with a retreat cost of 3. It is not compatible with Air Balloon, which only decreases your retreat cost by 2. There is no Float Stone in Standard, and Float Stone will probably never be printed again. So you'd have to pair it with actual Switch cards, which ultimately, is it worth it? I think in Gym Leader Challenge, however, this will be the optimal Reggie Drago to play. One of the toughest things about Dragon-type decks are finding Pokemon that are good to open. And I think that 160 damage for a Grass, Fire, and a colorless is just solid damage output in the Dragon-type Gym Leader Challenge deck. Having an ability that can also help you draw out of dead hands is also just quite good. So I could definitely see this Reggie Drago getting splashed into Dragon-type Gym Leader Challenge decks, but I'm not quite sure that it's good anywhere else. Wow, look at him. He's so handsome. Oranguru V. What's up with, Oranguru, all right? Why does the Pokemon Company absolutely love Oranguru? I mean, I'm not complaining, but Oranguru be getting a ton of cards. It's got the ability Order once during your turn. If this Pokemon is in the active spot, you may search your deck for 2 tool cards. reveal them and put them into your hand. So if you're playing a deck that wants to get a lot of tool cards into play, Oranguru is that Pokemon. Can help you do just that. It can also search out the air balloon to help it retreat out of the active spot. And then its psychic attack for 3 colorless energy does 30 damage plus 50 more damage for each energy attached to your opponent's active Pokemon. So you're talking 180 damage for, if your opponent has 3 energy attached to them. Could pair it with the Orbeetle, okay, and then we're talking. It's got the same attack as Orbeetle, just, costs 1 more energy. So, interesting. Energy Lotto reprint. I know everybody is thrilled about Energy Lotto coming back, baby. Let's go. Look at the top 7 cards of your deck. You may reveal an energy you find there and put it into your hands. Cool way to search out special energy. Hisuian Heavy Ball is an item card. Allows you to look at your face-down prize cards. You may reveal a basic Pokemon you find there and put it into your hand. Then shuffle this Hisuian Heavy Ball into your remaining prize cards and put them back face down. This card, it just feels like sometimes I feel like they're just printing cards for Gym Leader Challenge format. Anybody ever hate prizing their cards? You ever hate prizing your prizes? Well, Hisuian Heavy Ball can help you to not prize your prizes. Can just go grab a basic Pokemon directly out of the prize cards. Obviously fantastic in a singleton format like Gym Leader Challenge, but, could be used to search out one-of cards in your prizes in standard format as well. Super Effective Glasses is a new tool card that makes it so that the opponent's weakness is ×3 instead of ×2. This card is really good and could certainly see play if a Pokemon is just a little bit short of hitting that weakness knockouts that you've been trying to get, and Choice Belt doesn't quite get you there. This card certainly will. Arita is a new supporter card that allows you to search your deck for a water Pokemon and an item card, reveal them, and put them into your hand. Then shuffle your deck. This card could certainly see play, as it is effectively a reprint of Karina, however you spell that. Yes, Karina. Right here. From Furious Fists. Allowed you to search your deck for a fighting Pokemon and an item card. Karina certainly saw play. And Arita could also see play, but in water-type decks. Good supporter. Grant is a supporter card that reads, during this turn, your fighting-type Pokemon's attacks do 30 more damage to your opponent's active Pokemon. During this turn, if you discard 2 cards from your hand, excluding any Grant, you may take this Grant from your discard pile, reveal it, and put it into your hand. This effect doesn't count supporters that are played during your turn. So, at first, I thought that Grant was a supporter card that you could pop out of your discard pile at any point, but now as the translation is getting more refined, I think it's evident that you can only choose to discard the 2 cards to bring Grant back from the discard pile on the turn that you played it, which makes me less excited about the card. Ultimately, why not just play Leon? Obviously, it's kind of like if you were going to play Leon in your fighting deck, you would just play Grant instead because it is better, but I don't know that it's explicitly good enough to see play in all fighting decks. I think it's fine, but not really terribly exciting. Toy is a supporter card that reads, both players reveal their hand, then you draw 3 cards. It's just like Hop with a little peek. And then Temple of Sinnoh is a new stadium card that reads, each special energy attached to Pokemon in play provides colorless energy and has no other effect. Yo? It's kind of insane. Unfortunately, it does not do anything to Mew VMAX, but could be effective at shutting down double turbo energy and other special energy. Cool. Love it. Okay, I think that about does it for our Time Gazer and Space Juggler review. These cards are going to be a part of our upcoming Astral Radiance set to be released in May. If you're watching on YouTube, thank you so much for watching the video. Make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. And check me out on Twitch, where I'm streaming right now at the time of recording this. Twitch.tv/TrickyJim. I stream live Pokemon trading card game content every weekday, and we'd love to have you over here. Now y'all have a great day. Peace.